Welcome back to the West Hempfield Forward Local Politics Show. My name's Nick Dennis. I am your 2025 Democratic candidate for Township Supervisor. Also on the ticket with me is Steve Walk and Hunter Bear. Steve is going for Supervisor, Hunter for Auditor. And today I just wanted to give you a recap of the September meeting before we get into the October meeting, which is coming up next week, first Tuesday of the month. So, the big thing for the meeting this last month was development. The solicitor was there. There was a couple of land use requests that were kind of complicated, so the solicitor was there to help the board guide through those decisions. So the first thing was a project that is going in off of Ivy Drive and Stony Battery Road. It's right here. You can see. Sometimes I think it's a sod farm or something, but it's on the other side of these trees on Ivy Drive. So the developer came and showed a description of the 5 phases of the project here. So phase 1 is going to be 38 duplex units over here. And then phase 2 is another 16 duplex units. And then phase 3 is going to be these multi-family apartments, which will be 128 units over here. And then phases 4 and 5 will be filling in the rest out to Stony Battery Road with some townhomes. There will be 60 in phase 4 and then 39 in phase 5 for a total of 281 units going into this farm here. So the reason that it was at the Board of Supervisors was they were requesting waivers for certain things in the ordinance. So one of the things was in their plan, there were some garbage cans at a certain angle here for the multi-family portion that they needed to tweak so that the garbage truck could get in and people living in these apartments wouldn't have to look at garbage in the front of the parking lot, so they're putting them off to the side. Another thing is, as they construct, there needs to be 2 forms of egress to get construction vehicles and stuff out. And if there happened to be a fire during construction, they have to be able to get emergency vehicles in. And so just having this one road in initially while they're building these duplexes wasn't going to be enough. And so they suggested that they use this existing farm lane here as the way out while they build up the rest of this stuff. So that would probably be what, like around here while they're building. So they would build the road out to there. So they're requesting to be able to do that. There was some discussion from the board. Why can't you just build this main road completely that goes out to Stony Battery Road and have that be your second form of entry for emergency vehicles? The developer responded that that wouldn't work out financially for them. They're relying on the income from filling these units in phases 1 and 2 to be able to afford to continue paving and hooking up all of the utilities on this road that goes out to Stony Battery as they go. So as they do more duplexes and the multifamily, that'll help finance the rest of the road to be able to then put in the townhomes. So there was some back and forth. It seemed like that would be okay. And then another part that the developer was wanting waived was there's ordinances that when new development happens in the township can ask that the developer widen the road for them or put in sidewalks or put in curbing. And so the developer didn't want to have to do that. The board wanted to delay the need to put in those things, but keep it on the books so that down the road we could go back to that developer and say, hey, we need this road widened, and because you did development in this portion of the neighborhood, we'd like you to do these improvements on your dime. So there was some back and forth. Rob Monroe wanted sidewalks all along Ivy Drive so that people living in this neighborhood here could make it out to Hempfield Rec, which is over here on Stony Battery Road. The developer said that's unreasonable because eventually their plan is to have these roads have sidewalks on both sides and have a walking trail. So no one would use the sidewalk along Ivy Drive because they would eventually come into the development. So there was some back and forth, and finally they decided on putting sidewalks in this portion here from Boyce Avenue that goes into the existing neighborhood, putting a sidewalk from the other side of Boyce Avenue over to where they will be putting in their road for the new construction, so that people could come here, use the sidewalk, and then come in and use either this hiking trail that they're going to put in, and it's going to be public access, or the sidewalks on any side of this road, so that people could come down, walk along the sidewalk, then enter the development and go over to Hempfield Rec, which is over here. Which is all well and good, but their timeline for this project was 10 to 15 years. So I wish that the board maybe would have pushed a little harder to have those sidewalks put in place for residents while the construction is happening, so that they do have safe walk from the neighborhood to the rec center. But ultimately, they just negotiated that little piece. So it is what it is. There was also an interesting quote from Kent Gardner, who is one of the current people sitting on the board, but he is not running for re-election. But he said that this project will have more traffic than other similar projects in the past because the wives don't stay home anymore, so there'll be twice the amount of cars coming and going. Just sort of gives you an insight into the age of the current board. But anyway, the other land use thing that was brought up was good transportation services over here. Is looking to expand a bit in the back, and while they're doing this, they want to improve the sight lines along the intersection here, which involved removing a staircase and some bushes. And during that process, Rob mentioned that he is always in favor of sidewalks and native trees, but the rest of the board said that this is a pretty rural place, and so again, it wouldn't be reasonable to expect the developer here to put in sidewalks because they wouldn't really go anywhere. So Rob seems to be a fairly good ally when it comes to sidewalks and walkability and things like that. They also, some other things that were brought up at the meeting unrelated to land use. There was some resolution on the playground that we talked about last month in August. They found a less barn-themed playground set that looks more like the existing playgrounds in the park. That would only cost $94,000. Barry Carter voted against this. He said that he didn't like the price. Ed responded and said that the cost was so high because it includes installation and liability insurance, because people these days are very litigious, his words. I still feel like this was a missed opportunity for some public engagement. They could have, involved some people that actually use that park and see maybe what they would have liked to put in, instead of just picking from the co-stars options available. But hey, I'm not on the board yet, so I couldn't put that in. Some other news from the meeting. West Hempfield agreed to Raffo Township's bids that they got for the Garfield Bridge demolition project. So they are moving forward with that. The estimates to fix those streets that got washed out from the flooding in, was that July? Is estimated to cost $462,000. A lot of that will come out of liquid fuel funds. But to do that, the project has to be completed before the end of October. Or they wouldn't be able to start up again until next March or April when these liquid fuel funds are replenished. They also talked about funding the library, $34,000 to the library. There's some discussion about which libraries those should go to. They asked the library system to look at the circulation numbers of which libraries residents are going to, and the three that most West Hempfielders seem to go to is the Mountville branch, the Columbia branch, and the Mountjoy branch. Since Mountville is in the township, they decided to give $30,000 to Mountville and split $4,000 between Columbia and Mountjoy. Rob was the only one to vote against this, but he said he voted against it because he wanted to see the full amount, the full $34,000, go to the Mountville Library. They also was discussion about an new MOU with the Municipal Planning Commission so that they could share planning documents and get some extra oversight on those. There was also some discussion about trucks. I guess in the past, West Hempfield Township got tired of truckers driving through the township on those back roads, and so they wanted to put up no trucks signs along Eby's Road, Chickies Road, and Silver Spring Road. But neighboring East Hempfield said, hey, whoa, hold on. If you put up no truck signs, that means that those trucks are going to come onto our roads in East Hempfield. Maybe we should do a study and figure out where those trucks go and what sort of impact changes would have in local traffic patterns here in Hempfield. It sounds like our current board in West Hempfield is just ignoring that request and going ahead with putting up signage on those roads. Then they closed the board meeting and went into a municipal authority meeting, which they discussed hiring Portnoff Associates to help collect overdue payments from residents. I guess 177 residents have never paid their stormwater bills, and 14 have recently fallen behind on stormwater bills, and there is currently no mechanism for township staff to follow up on that. But these Portnoff Associates would have the ability to call, send mail, follow up with people. They liked the associates because they do not put things, they don't report them to the credit bureaus, so it wouldn't affect people's credit scores if they fall behind on payments. But they do have systems in place to eventually put liens on properties and have things go to sheriff's sale if people get really far behind on these bills. So look out for that. They're going to start really following through on these stormwater things. That was the big things from the meeting. There was a few things in the beginning there. I guess the police are hiring 2 new positions. They had 9 applicants and 4 of them they were interested in. I guess they really like to try and hire local Hempfield people so that they're policing in their local community. There is some other new agreements. I think there's a new Comcast contract that'll have to go to public comment. And originally the Mountville and West Hempfield Fire Department merger was slated to happen January 1st, but that seemed a little too ambitious. So now they're shooting for April 1st. So that's what you missed in September. Hopefully I can see someone join me in the October meeting if you'd like. That'll be next Tuesday on October 8th, I believe. If you ever have any questions or comments or want to get a hold of us at the West Hempfield Forward campaign, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, West Hempfield Forward, or you can send us an email, westhempfieldforward@gmail.com. We have yard signs going out and postcards. So if you want to get involved, we're also canvassing every weekend. That is all. And we'll talk to each other again real soon. Thanks for listening.